right. So back to the debate last night. Vice President Joe Biden is getting some flack on social media for how much he laughed, like you heard, during Paul Ryan's comments during last night's debate. Now, it even inspired joke Twitter accounts like Laughing Joe Biden, Biden Smirk. Here's one of the moments.
We can debate the timeline, whether it's that short a time. I think, Evans, we have these sanctions in place. It's in spite of their opposition.
Oh, God.
They've given 20 waivers.
That's not how it's going. It's going down.
This is his 2-minute answer,
Look,
please.
Mitt Romney's a car guy. They keep misquoting him, but let me tell you about the Mitt Romney I know.
You know, if someone were laughing while you were trying to comment, would you get upset or what? Joining us is political science professor Jason Johnson. But Jason, isn't that part of the strategy? You want to kind of rattle your opponent.
Yeah, you want to rattle your opponent. And the other thing I think is interesting is I think Joe Biden is probably the singular politician in the last 25 years who can get away with that. If Barack Obama did that, he'd come off as a jerk. Mitt Romney, when Al Gore did that in 2000, people said he was horrible. But I think the thing about Joe Biden is that's just kind of how he is. And I think it worked very effectively because he didn't just laugh. He would follow it up with the reason that he was laughing as opposed to just seeming dismissive to what Paul Ryan was saying.
Okay, what about, you always have people say, well, they said one thing, but their body was saying another. Let's talk about the body language here. Paul Ryan, because he is the newcomer.
I thought it was really interesting. The most key body language things about Paul Ryan were this sort of magically refilling sippy cup. I mean, that guy was thirsty. He was just grabbing a drink every 5 minutes or something else like that. But I think the most compelling thing was at the end of the debate, the first thing he did when he got up from the table is he wiped his face. I mean, he looked worn. He looked like he had just been worked for 90 minutes in an old rundown Scranton boxing gym. I mean, he seemed happy to get out of there when he was done. I think Joe Biden's body language, it was very aggressive, but it was sort of grandpa in the chair aggressive. I mean, he leaned back a lot and would throw his hands up in the air, and he kind of had an incredulous look. So their body language told a lot about how comfortable they were in that kind of environment.
I liked that there was a table for the moderator to face them and for them to face the audience, but they were at a table so they could actually talk. Now, going into this debate, Biden needed to defend his administration and kind of pump up the president's flat performance last week. Ryan needed to show what he was about, that he could be presidential if he ever needed to have to be. So did they both accomplish what they had to?
Yeah, I think they did. And this is something that Robin, we've talked about in the past, that there's, the standards that you hold these men to is based on the positions that they're in. I mean, as the incumbent vice president, I think Joe Biden did an excellent job of trying to defend the record of the Obama-Biden administration. Paul Ryan's job was to stand up there and say, hey, look, I'm capable of stepping into the role of president. And it's interesting. They knew the history. They made references to Sarah Palin. They made references to Lloyd Bentsen and Dan Quayle. They knew how important it was to have an excellent VP debate. And I think they both accomplished their goals, just Biden accomplished his a bit better.
All right, so there was real substance there in terms of what they talked about. Thank you. The presidential candidates, they are the ones who go back to debating on Tuesday. They face off in a town hall style meeting debate in Hempstead, New York. Candy Crowley of our sister network, CNN, is going to be the moderator. And then the final presidential debate for this go-round is going to be in Florida, October 22nd.